there anything called perfect parenting? Is it even achievable? Is there somebody that you can look to and say that Mrs. A or Mr. B did do a fantastic job in terms of parenting, in terms of how they parent? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we cannot parent children that will turn out to be excellent individuals, but basically what I'm looking at is perfect parenting actually possible? Is it achievable? Is it something that we can do? I would say no. I would say that there is no such thing called perfect parenting. Perfect parenting is probably something we just conjured up in our heads. It is a myth. It's not possible. At the end of the day, perfection is not what we're looking at in terms of parenting. Basically, what we're looking at is to be that individual that is there, that is available for the child that we are responsible for. Okay, welcome guys to another episode of Conversations with Francesca. We're still continuing in our parenting series. Last week I did talk about classical examples of parenting in the Bible. So we looked at the ideal, those that we could consider as models in terms of parents. And we also looked at those that we could look at and say that what they did was probably not enough, or they didn't do a good enough job in terms of parenting their children. Today we're just looking at the balance. We're looking at, is it possible to achieve a perfect parenting style? Is there anything actually called perfect parenting? What is it that we can actually look at to see in terms of parenting that this person is doing a fantastic job? So we're looking at that. We're looking at whether or not perfect parenting is achievable. I would say that, when we consider what we see, the presentations that we look at in terms of social media, you see all those perfect matchy pictures, mom and daughter picture, dad and son pictures, and you think in your head that these people are just doing a fantastic job in raising their children. Trust me, okay? Social media is not real world. What you see on the gram is actually not what is playing out in people's homes. So don't let anything put a pressure on you and say that you're not doing enough. I remember talking to a friend and I'm like, you're just so extra, in terms of what you do for your children. We want to stage a birthday party. She's that parent that we check everything. The I's are dotted, the T's are crossed. She does an excellent job with everything. And I basically tell her, you're too extra. You put people under pressure and you make everybody feel like, am I doing enough for my child? But the truth is, you are doing the best that you can. And you are doing that which is available to you right now to parent the child. So it's important. It's actually important that you do not put yourself under unnecessary pressure, in terms of achieving that perfect parenting. So let's look at what actually influences people in terms of striving towards perfection. What are the things that make you think that you need to actually be a perfect parent? I was just thinking through this a few days ago, and I was making my notes, and I was like, okay, some of the things that people act, that are responsible for people to act a certain kind of way is what they are faced with. What some of the factors that would influence a parent, to kind of strive to achieve perfection are in different shapes. I actually grouped them into the internal, external factors. So let's talk about the internal factors. Let's talk about the internal factors that would want you, pressure you, put unnecessary pressure on you to strive towards perfection. And I'm not saying that looking ahead and striving towards perfection is not the way to go, but the truth is, achieving perfection in terms of parenting is not something that you should be looking at You know, your goal should be to be the best parent you can be for your child. Okay, you're not looking at being the most celebrated parent. Somebody will say there is no award for the most hardworking mom. There's no such award. There's no such award to, oh, the parent that checks and ticks all the boxes. There's no such parent. At the end of the day, you want to be that parent that your children would look at and celebrate for the efforts that you've put in towards making them who they are, for the efforts that you have put in into making them the wholesome humans, the wholesome individuals that they are today. So cut yourself some slack. I see people putting themselves under a lot of pressure. You know, I want to be here, I want to be there, I want to do this, I want to do that. At the end of the day, you are only one person, okay? You are only one person, a couple, you are two individuals trying to raise this child. So cut yourself some slack, extend some grace to yourself, extend some grace to your spouse. You cannot do everything, and that is okay. Just make sure that you're doing enough to be there for that child, to be there for that child. So some of the common pressure, okay, some of the things that pressure us to want to be perfect, I talked about internal sources, yourself, putting a lot of pressure on yourself, you know, having a list, a checklist of this is what I need to do, XYZ, you know, just making yourself making yourself feel pressured unnecessarily, you know. You're racing against yourself. Basically, you're putting a time clock on yourself, on demanding something that you would do anyway, but putting a clock to when and how you should do it. Then we're looking at parents. We're talking about internal factors, factors that makes you put pressure on yourself to want to achieve perfection. Looking at your parents, the children's grandparents, your parents, okay? Parents are telling you this is how you were raised. I expect you to do the same. Oh, this is what you should do, and this is not what you should be doing. Oh, your child shouldn't be eating XYZ. Oh, your child should be eating XYZ. At the end of the day, you are the parent to this child, not your own mom or dad. So you are the one to make the decisions regarding that child. Okay, so how you were raised is not definitive of how you should raise your children. Okay, so you need to be able to separate what you're being told, okay, and what you want to do, how you want to do those things. So do not put yourself under unnecessary pressure. Don't make it look like, oh, because my mom is saying that this is how I was raised, the expectation is that I should toe that line. No, no, no. There's nothing that says you have to replicate the same pattern you were raised with. There's nothing that says that the pattern of parenting that your own parents used in raising you is what you should replicate in raising your children. So don't do that to yourself. Don't put yourself under that pressure. Another pressure sometimes might come from the spouse, you know, in terms of the man or the woman, depending on who thinks that they know better in terms of parenting that child. At the end of the day, I always say that parents want to always present a united front in front of their children, right? You don't want the child to perceive that, oh, mommy thinks A and daddy thinks Y. Therefore, I will prey on the differences between mom and dad to get my way. You want to be a united parent in terms of what you're putting forward, you know, what you're showing your children, what you need them to do, how you need them to do those things. You know, this is what you want to do. This is how you want to raise your children. You don't want to be that parent that, oh, mommy saying this and daddy saying that, or you don't want to be that dad that would always oppose mom when she's, you know, saying something to the child. Neither do you want to be that mom that is consistently opposing dad when dad is trying to, you know, make some point or say something towards the children. You want to be that parent that is Of course, both of you presenting a united front towards raising your kids. That's what you want to do. Then there's that aspect of friends and family comparison. Oh, XYZ's child is doing exploits in this way. I expect you to be doing exploits in this. Oh, because you're not doing exploits in that, you start to compare your child and you start to berate them for things you think other kids are doing and they are not. It can go both ways, you know. Your child can also berate you on what they think you're not doing and XYZ mom and dad is doing. So focus on yourself and your family. Okay? Do that which you know is best for your child. Do that which you know is best for your family in your situation. You're not using another person's manual to raise your child. You know your child. You know the makeup. You know what your child can thrive in, where they can thrive in, where they can be the most productive. Take advantage of that and raise that child accordingly. Remove the pressure of looking towards others to give you insights into what you need to be doing for and to your children. Let's consider external factors, and for external factors I'm looking at people that you know you don't even know them, and that's the irony. We are so fixated on opinions of people that we've never met, people we've never seen, people we do not know, but we just see them show up on the gram. They are on Facebook, they are on every social media platform, and you think that the way they are parenting their children should be the way you should parent yours. Okay, at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the gram is not real life. You are in real life. What you see on social media is not what is happening in people's homes. So focus on yourself and don't let the gram be the definition of how you want to raise your children. Don't let the gram give you a checklist of what you need to do in terms of raising your children. You should be the one making the checklist for your own child. You should be the one raising your child appropriately, not looking to social media to give you insights on how to raise your children. Cultural influences as well. So a friend of mine, we were talking about how we have this expectation that this is what a child should be doing at a certain age, and this is what the child should not be doing at the other age and all that. And you put that pressure on yourself if your child is not achieving XYZ. I remember a few years back, before we got married and all that, people are already telling you that, oh, by this age you should be getting married, and they're telling your parents, and of course your parents will come back and feed you with those information, of course stylishly, and they're like, Mrs. A's daughter is getting married next week. Mrs. B's son is getting married next week. They are your age mates, so it's not like I'm putting you under pressure, but you are. It's not like I'm saying that you should go ahead and but you are doing exactly what you say you are not trying to do. So don't repeat the same circle with your children, okay? Don't let culture dictate what your child should or should not do. Don't let culture tell you that this is the expectation for your child, for the girl child, for the boy child. Let your raising your child be according to what you know, not what others know or what others have done. Sometimes some of the things that people even say that they have done are probably lies. They are just, everybody is just chasing clout and trying to feed you with things that they think. And then you pick it up and use it as a manual to raise your child. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't study, you shouldn't read books. Of course, when I began this series on parenting, I did say that parenting is one journey that we embark on with limited preparation. Very limited preparation. We're not prepared on what we want to do. We do not know how to do or how to even go into the parenting journey that we're about to get into. So Yes, absolutely. Take all the classes that you need to take. Learn all there is to learn about being a fantastic parent, but do not let culture dictate to you what you should be doing part time. Do not let culture dictate to you what your child should be doing, and then you berate your children when they are not doing that which they are supposed to be doing. Okay? um let's look at faith circles as well. The church community. Okay, for people that are people of faith, like myself. I'm a believer. Sometimes we are pressured by our church family. People in church are raising their nose on how on how you're raising your child, or how this child is turning out, or what you're supposed to be doing. Everybody seems to have an idea of how you should raise your own child. Again, the responsibility to raise your child is yours alone. All right? Nobody can tell you that this is what you should be doing. Advice is good. Do not get me wrong. Yes, you can take advice, you can listen, but they should not be giving you the checklist for what you need to be doing. Okay? They should not be telling you, when my child was this age, this was what they did. Your child is already this age and is not doing that. It is wrong. No. Okay? You are responsible for your child. You should be the one to make those decisions for your child. For your child. For your child. I remember some of the things that are kind of interesting when I go through with it with my kids. Morning routines are usually very challenging in this house, and the reason is because when I send my kids to bed, of course, early, and they're like, "Oh, I don't need to sleep now, mommy. It's too early." Nya, 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 nya. They say all the that and that and that and that, and then when they go to bed, when it's morning and you need to wake them up, they are asking, "Can I get extra 5 minutes? Can I get extra 5 minutes? Can I get extra 5 minutes?" And then when we eventually wake up, it is drama. From the bathroom to picking out clothes to picking what is not whether appropriate for a certain times and all that. And as I go along with them, I'm learning to cut them a little bit of slack. So you get to pick your clothing, but if it's not weather appropriate, the mommy will step in. And somehow we've had less chaos in the mornings, because now they kind of feel independent. They get to pick out their own clothes. Of course, my kids are young, so yes, that's why the issue of picking out clothes is being talked about here. So they get to pick out their own clothing, and when I check the weather and I'm like, "It's too cold, you cannot wear shorts," they're like, "Oh, but you said I can pick up my own clothing." I say, "Yes, but with a caveat. If you pick out weather appropriate clothing, you get to wear it. But if you pick out clothing that is not weather appropriate, mommy gets to pick." Okay, so that's some of the things that you can do when to just cut yourself some slack and relieve yourself of some of the pressures that you may think, "Oh, am I not doing enough? Why is it always chaotic in the morning in my house? Other people have it easy." Trust me, other people don't. You think they do, they don't. Everybody just show you the side that they want you to see. Okay, so your job is to focus on yourself and your family and how you want to raise your own children. All right, I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm going to come back with a part 2 of is perfect parenting even something that we can be achieved. All right, if you haven't followed us yet on our social media platforms, this is my cue to you to do so. Please jump on, subscribe, follow us. Instagram, we're there. TikTok, we're there. We're there on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube if you haven't. Share, like. Okay, we're gonna jump back with another episode, still talking about whether or not perfect parenting is achievable. It's your girl Francesca. See you next time.